Hey there guys, this is the Be a Hero Gaming channel. Thank you so much for watching. It's been a while since we've done a video, and I had a bunch of ideas put together that I was getting ready to do until I saw this game, and I pushed all those aside and said, okay, hang on a second. We've got to do a video about this game because I think there's a lot of really good things about this game that just started on Kickstarter yesterday, and there's a few things that I'm kind of troubled about. I want to go over those things in this video. But first, again, this channel is about being a hero in our games and feeling awesome when we play and we win and our character gets upgraded and levels up. But also when we put the game away, how can we be a hero in real life? And I was thinking about this past week. There's been a couple of times something's come to my mind that I've thought about somebody else that was a nice thing, a nice thought, and but I didn't say anything. And I wondered about how many times we have a good thought about somebody but don't tell them. And how is that person supposed to know that they're appreciated or that you're grateful for that person in your life unless you say something? And this particular instance was my son because he is my most reliable gaming partner. And you know, as parents, we give our kids a lot of flack that you need to fix this and you need to fix that. And they kind of get bothered after a while. So I thought I should let him know that I really appreciated him in my life because the other kids and my wife are kind of in and out, but he is always there to play a game with me, and I really appreciate that. So the next time, guys, you think something good about somebody, let them know, because how are they supposed to know that that's going through your head unless you verbalize that and tell them? And I think that's going to increase your relationship with them, bring us close together, and that's what we're really trying to do. Our lives are all about the relationships that we form and foster to the end of our lives. So with that said, let's get into this game here. Because I've got some good things I want to say about it, but also a couple videos back I talked about criticism and can we take criticism constructively and make changes in our lives. So I want to talk about that too. 5 things I like and 5 things that I'm troubled about. So this game is called Wonders of the First. It's a collectible card game that just started on Kickstarter yesterday, and my mind was blown when before the day was over, it was well over $1 million. And so people are really diving into this game head first. One of the reasons is because if you back the game within the first 48 hours, every full-size booster box that you back, you'll get an additional box topper card, which these are, I guess, alternate art cards that can't be found in the booster packs at all. And so that's another reason I think people are jumping in, is because they're trying to balance a really fun game with this and collectability. So there's a million collectability factors in this game, which I think is another reason why people are getting really excited about it. But in the first 48 hours, again, you get double the box topper cards for all the booster boxes that you buy. So I think that's one reason why people are jumping in. But just real quick, what this game's about, I have been through the rules one time and I watched a couple videos on it, so I might make a mistake here, but just a real quick rundown on what the game is. You have these token cards that can represent different things in the game. These cards, I printed these out from their website, or sorry, from the Kickstarter. I think these are supposed to be the backs of the cards is what these are. But I have printed out 2 decks here. You have a deck of 50 cards, and essentially what you're doing is you have 7 rounds and 7 stones in these different worlds, or I think they call them orbitals maybe, or something. That you're trying to get these, a realm. I think realm is orbitals where the character's from. These realms, you're trying to get these stones on your side. The player at the end of the game that has the most stones on their side is the winner. Okay, so you can see here there's 7 stones. I don't have the stones, so I just use dice. In round number 1, we're going to have realm number 1 unlocked. And so you can play your wonders, which are the characters with a power here, into realm number 1. You do that by spending energy points. In round 1, you get 1 energy. In round 2, you get 2 energy, 3 energy, and so forth. Each stone that you capture will give you an additional energy in the following round. So if I capture this stone in the first round, the next round I'm going to get the 2 for round 2, plus 1, because I've captured that stone. Basically, the way you capture stones is you attack the other player. The total of your strength or your power here in all your wonders, if it's greater, you take the stone. In other rounds, say you're in round 2, 3, 4, I'm playing into round 4 now, and the opponent says, you know what, I'm going to go back here and I'm going to take this stone back. So I'm going to play some more wonders on my side, so my power is greater than yours. I'm going to attack you, and now the stone goes to the opponent. Okay, so just because you take the stone doesn't mean you keep it for the rest of the game. And so you're playing these wonders out. There's also different cards like spells that you can use. There are item cards you can equip onto your characters. There's lands that will give you certain benefits, like a certain land will cause all the wonders of a certain orbital to cost 1 less energy to be played. I mean, you can clearly see here, this character here costs 5 to play. So in round 1, you're going to have 1 energy. That's not very much. This character is going to be tough to get out. There are several things that you can do in the game that will give you energy. And so don't just think you get 1 energy for the whole game. There's things you can do to give yourself additional energy so that you can play these higher power characters. Also, in each round, you get 3 actions. You alternate actions between you and your opponent. I'll take an action, the opponent will take an action. And that will happen 3 times, and that will end the round. Now, there are free actions that you can take that will not count as one of your actions. There are cards that will grant you additional actions that you can take. And so again, you're not limited by those 3 actions in the round or the energy that you receive. There's ways to get more energy. There's ways to get more actions to kind of build up your player board here to take the stones. So again, there's a whole bunch of abilities that each character has. There's a whole ability list in the instructions that talk about what all the abilities do. And it looks like a fun game on the surface here. When my son gets home this afternoon from school, we're going to play a couple rounds and see how it goes and see if the game's fun. But from the outside, the game does look fun. So again, I might have left something out. I might give it wrong. Well, that's kind of the gist of the game. You're playing these wonders, trying to take these stones. At the end of the 7th round, whoever has the most stones is the winner. Okay? Now, what do I like about this game? The first thing I think is not only cool about this game, but the campaign in general are these print and play decks. My mind was blown when I scrolled down and there was a list of 3 print and play decks, and I thought, wait a second, can I print this out and actually play test this game before? That is so cool, because there's so many games I'll watch videos about and I'll watch people play it and I'll think, I would have done something differently there. I want to try the game to see if I actually like it. So I thought that was such a cool idea that you could print a deck. There were 3 decks that you could print out. I don't know if these are the actual starter decks or this is something they just put together. I don't know. Now, how did I do that? Well, first of all, I've never done anything like this before. I went down to Walmart and I picked up this heavy-duty cardstock, which is 110-pound weight. Some of it I saw was only like 90 pounds. This is a little bit thicker. I wanted the cards to be more substantial. This was like $6 at Walmart for this cardstock. I printed out the cards from the PDF on the Kickstarter, and they print out on sheets like this. So you have these sheets printed out here, and then once I had the sheets printed out, I just took a guillotine cutter like this, which I think I got this from Amazon for 20 bucks or something, and you can just line them up to make sure they're straight. You can cut all the cards fairly quickly with this, and once all the cards are cut, they will look like this in a stack. And I really like the feeling of cards in my hand, but this cardstock kind of sticks together and you can't really slide them around. And then you're left with cards like this with the corners. Now, how did I get to here? I actually had one of these things laying around that I've used for other projects. It's a corner rounder that I, again, got from Amazon for like $10 or something. And it's pretty straightforward. You just kind of stick this thing in this little slot here and punch it down and bam, there you go. And you can just round off all the corners on these. And then they end up looking like real cards. The cards had a little bit of a bend in them from the ink, and so I kind of tried to bend them back the other way. But the thing that really straightened the cards out was once you put them in these sleeves. These are kind of the thicker play sleeves that we use for Magic the Gathering or Pokemon. And so it really helped straighten the cards out. But this way they slide together and you can kind of look through the cards instead of them all sticking together. So super, super cool idea that they did that and made these available for people to print out and play to see if they actually like the game. Now, the second thing I really like about this is the artwork. I know I started playing, my first collectible card game was Magic the Gathering back in the 90s. And some of the artwork was kind of janky back in the day. Some of it was really good, and other ones you kind of looked at it like, wait, what in the world is that? And so I think the artwork is really cool, and that it takes up most of the card. And so really, this text is kind of hard to read because of my printer. I just have an inkjet printer that's not very good, and they're actually a lot darker than they looked on the PDF. So they're not actually this dark when you look at them on the PDF, and I imagine they'll be a little brighter when the actual cards are printed. So I love the artwork. It all looks really cool, really engaging. And in fact, when my son saw this, he's like, is this a fantasy game or a sci-fi game? And I think it's kind of like a mix because of this kind of interstellar vibe where you're going to these different orbitals or planets. But you also have things like dragons and swords and stuff like that. So I think it's kind of this cross between sci-fi and fantasy, maybe leaning a little more towards the fantasy side. But I love the artwork on some of the cards here. Again, this lady is kind of one of their faces. This is on all their stuff here. But again, it's way easier to see this on the website. I think my printer just printed it out really dark. But some of the artwork of the cards is just really cool. The characters here, and there's like some weapons you can get. This is, I think, an item, some armor or something here. There's a land. Just really cool stuff. All kinds of different creatures you can find. So yeah, here we have, looks like some kind of a rifle. Yeah, so again, fantasy and sci-fi kind of mixed together. You have all these different things. This really cool hand weapon. So the artwork is great. The third thing I really like about them is the cleanliness of the cards and how there's very little text. And this is one thing they point out on their Kickstarter page in one of the videos, is that they were really trying to aim for low character count or word count on the cards so you could focus on the artwork instead of all the words on the cards. And it seems to me, again, we haven't played the game yet, but just from what they've said about it, it seems to me what they're aiming at is playing a character that maybe has some base ability, and then you're adding items or lands or spells or things like that to make this character better, which I really like. It's another thing about along the lines of the cleanliness. I like having a character with a basic ability that I can play. And again, these are all like different attributes of the character around the outside here, their cost to play, their power in battle, and then a couple of key words that have certain effects during the game. But I love down here, like this is your ability, that's it, okay? Now, these are some extreme examples, but let me show you a couple of examples. Again, back from the 90s, Magic the Gathering. So you have the Library of Lang here, and you get this card for the first time, and you're like, oh, hang on just a second, let me read what this does. You must skip, and then you're reading this, and then you're trying to think about, what does that mean exactly? Or the Clockwork Steed here, you're reading about that, and there's just a lot to wrap your head around. And even current modern-day cards. You have Galadriel here that when she comes into play or attacks, she can do all these three things. And once you figure out what she does, it's not a big deal. Like, okay, I know what Galadriel does. I'm going to play her, and I'm going to pick one of these things. Bilbo's Ring, which is an equipment you can equip onto one of your summons. First of all, what it does, and then what it also can do, and then if you equip it to a halfling, and then if you equip it to somebody else. There's just a lot to read on these. I really enjoy Magic the Gathering. I'm not trying to knock it too much. I really enjoy this game. But sometimes it is a little overwhelming to read this giant text box. Now, I know they have some full art cards now that show art all the way around, and the text is kind of over the top of it. But I really like how these focus on the artwork of the card, basic ability, and once the card's played, oh yeah, that girl, I know what she does, because it's so basic. And then you can add cards to her to make her more powerful, to kind of buff her up a little bit. The fourth thing that I like about the game is collectability, and that's kind of like a I don't know, that might be a mixed bag for me. I like the collectability. Again, the bottom corner here, they have whether it's mythic or uncommon or common or epic. They have, I think, 5 levels: common, uncommon, rare, epic, and mythic. So they have 5 levels of rarity. They also have serialized cards that you can get. They have one-of-one cards that you can get. They have these currency cards you can pull from the packs that have some kind of amount on them that you can use to buy additional game content that you can't buy with money. It's kind of a weird deal, but hey, then people are going to want to pull these currency cards so they can buy game content that they can't get with actual money. You can get these token cards out of the packs. There's a whole bunch of different things you can get, but the collectability is pretty cool. They promise that they're never going to reprint cards, that they're going to print this card here in the first alpha set, and then she's never going to show up again. Maybe a card similar to this, but this card will never show up again. And I don't know how that's going to play out. If that's going to make this insanely expensive if somebody wants this card, or if they're going to have other cards that are similar enough that you won't need this. I don't know. We'll kind of see how that plays out. It's a little bit of a worry, but I like collecting, and so I think that's kind of exciting to do. Now, the fifth thing that I like about this game is a mixed bag. So I'm going to pause on the fifth thing, and I'm going to go to the negatives really quick. Okay, so the first thing that I'm concerned about with this game is the print run. So you can buy on the Kickstarter a whole bunch of booster boxes of these cards, and then once they come out, they're going to release it to retail. So if I back it on Kickstarter and I buy a whole bunch of these boxes in the hopes that I can use them as collector's items or open the packs later to pull cards or sell the packs, once it comes out as retail, how long is that print run going to go? Are they going to have that print run go for a year, 2 years? I don't know. That's what I'm wondering about is I realize you're not going to reprint cards. So how long is that print run going to go before you stop and say, okay, now it's the next edition? That set's done. Because if I, buy 5 booster boxes and I'm going to hang on to these and either open the packs later or sell the packs, whatever I'm going to do, how long am I going to have to hold on to them before it's going to increase in value? Is it going to be, a year, 2 years, 10 years? How long is that print run going to go? Is one thing I worry about as a collector. Okay. Another thing I worry about, the second thing, and this, I haven't seen this in the rules anywhere, and maybe people will just come up with their own ideas like they did in Magic, but tracking things. There really aren't any rules or extra game content for tracking things, because you have to keep track of your energy you have each turn. You have to keep track of how many turns you've taken. So kind of the action economy is turns you've taken and energy that you have to kind of balance between using these things up. Using my action. Oh, which again, I didn't mention this. Using an action, you can draw a card, you can play a card, or you can use an ability from one of your cards. I think are the 3 main actions. There might be a fourth, I can't remember, but draw a card, play an ability, play a card is your action. Then it's the next person's turn. And again, you do that 3 times, the round ends and you go to the next round. As long as you don't have any bonus actions or free actions, or you've earned yourself extra actions by playing cards. So I worry a little bit about tracking things. On the player mats, I did notice a couple of spots for, I think it said actions and energy. And I don't know if you're supposed to put dice there or something. I guess you could to track that stuff. There's another form of currency called faith that you can get, which I'm not really sure what it does exactly, but you can use that for other things in the game. So that's another thing you got to keep track of. And so I don't know how that's going to play out, if that's going to be kind of cumbersome, or you'll just use a few dice off to the side to track that. I'm not sure. The third thing that I worry about is, one thing I really like about Magic the Gathering is the catharsis, where your opponent gets out this super brutal creature that's just annoying you to death, and he's like 6/6 trample or something, and it has all these abilities, and then you take that creature out. You're like, oh, he's done, and now you're defenseless, and now I can just go for you. And I love that feeling of trying to game how you're going to knock their creatures out to get rid of their defenses, to get through to destroy the wizard. I really like that in Magic the Gathering. And I wonder, with this game, again, I haven't played yet. We're going to play this afternoon. We'll see how it goes. This might change. Maybe I'll love it. I don't know. I wonder how that's going to change about, you can really feel the same feeling capturing stones. Like, all right, I got 3 stones. Yes. I don't know, maybe. There is an ability, I think it's called Death Strike, where normally when you attack, there's no eliminating of the wonders. You just take the stone. If you win, you just take the stone. There's an ability called Death Strike where one of your opponent's wonders is knocked out or put in the discard pile or the abyss. So maybe with that, maybe I want to get my Death Strike guys out and just start whittling away at your wonders, and so I can take all the stones for myself. I don't know. But again, winning the game, you're not trying to destroy the wizard playing the spells like you are in Magic the Gathering. You're trying to eliminate their defenses so you can take the stones for yourself. So we'll see in playing if you get that same feeling of catharsis that you get from Magic when someone's really beating on you and you just pull an awesome card out of your deck and you're like, oh yes, here we go. And you play it down and you run away with it. The fourth thing that I'm concerned about is the 7 rounds. Now, I know in their videos, they talked about how they've done a lot of research about that being a good thing because games can't run away and last hours and hours and hours. We were playing a game of Magic the Gathering the other day, a commander battle, and me and my son and my daughter, and we all had a bunch of cards out, and everyone was down to like 3 life. And we knew that the first person to go all in on somebody else would knock them out, but then you'd be knocked out next turn. And so we're all just sitting there, like nobody's attacking, and we're just kind of sitting, looking at each other like, oh, I don't want to attack because as soon as I attack you, I'm going to knock you out, but then you're going to knock me out. And so it went on for turn after turn after turn until pretty soon we're like, okay, this game is lasting forever. Somebody just do something. And it ended up being me because the kids didn't want to do anything. So I knocked somebody out and I was knocked out next turn, and my daughter won. So the 7 rounds, I guess, is designed so that you know how long the game's going to last. So you know that 7th round, which again, it's going to build the amount of energy you're going to get. 7 energy the 7th round when this realm is unlocked and you can play cards in there now. So you're going to get a bunch of energy your last turn. So maybe you're kind of holding on to some big guns that, again, can be played anywhere in any unlocked realm. And you're hanging on to those to really go big and hit people hard with them. I don't know. So the 7 rounds thing might turn into a good thing. I don't know. But the reason I don't like that is because in games like Wingspan or Wormspan, I just feel like I get to the end and I think, wait, no, there was so much more I wanted to do, and now it's over and I can't do it. And so I wonder if I'm going to get the same feeling with this, that I feel like, oh no, I just got a bunch of good cards and now I can't play them because it's the end of the round and the game's over. And so in that aspect, it is kind of nice to be able to carry the game along if you get some good stuff that you want to play. Again, I don't know, maybe that would be a good thing. Okay, now on to the big stuff here. The 5th reason I don't like it, or that I'm concerned about it. Not necessarily I don't like it, concerned. And the 5th thing that I do like. Okay, that just seems weird that they're kind of like a mixed bag. And I know there's a lot of controversy on this because I've seen a ton of comments on the Kickstarter about the cost of this game, which is very high. And so I've written a couple notes down here I just want to show to you here. If you buy one booster box, it's $150 by itself, which is about $6.25 a pack, which I think that is the most expensive booster pack relatively. We're not talking about collector boosters and Magic the Gathering or things like that, but just a regular play and collect pack, that's an expensive pack, okay? Now you're gonna get 24 packs in a box and only 9 cards in each pack. So not only is it really expensive for the box, you're only getting 24 packs and you only get 9 cards. You get one bonus card, which could be like a token. It could be some of that currency stuff we talked about before. It could be a super epic, rare, serialized card or something like that, which wonderful. You can't necessarily always play with that. So you're gonna get 9 cards in a booster pack, 24 packs, $150. So that's pretty steep. If you buy the mini booster box, you're gonna get 6 packs, which you get 9 cards each and the bonus card again, $45, which is $7.50 a pack. Again, pretty steep for just a play booster pack. And a starter deck is gonna cost you $30. You're gonna get the 50 card starter deck, 1 exclusive foil card that only comes in that starter deck. Okay, again, I talked about the collectability. There's all kinds of crazy things they've done with this as far as collectability is concerned. And you get a stone set. Some of these things that I've used dice for. So they're different color stones for the different realms that you can use. And so each starter deck, you're gonna get a set of stones. You're gonna get a 50 card deck, which includes 1 foil exclusive is one of those 50, $30. Now, one of the things that bothers me about this is they say in their Kickstarter that they're trying to look for community over profits. Now, hear me out for a second. At face value, it looks like, wait a second, what do you mean community over profits? You're charging a ton of money for these things, way more than the average booster pack. What gives here? I guess they're manufacturing these in the US. So that could be a little bit higher card quality. Maybe not. I think some of the overseas companies do a fine job as well. But I think the main reason they're doing that is so they can have a closer handle on quality control. They want to be able to take a look at the samples and say yes, no, instead of having them FedEx to them and waiting for them to go over the ocean and look at them. So they're manufacturing the cards and everything in the US. And so that is increasing the price of the manufacturing costs. So I understand that costing a little bit more, but it is a little bit heartbreaking to see how expensive the cards are, especially if this is a really cool game and people want to get into it. It's going to be a struggle to really be a big collector with this game with how expensive the cards are. Okay. But with that said, let me talk about the 5th thing that I do like. And that is when I played Magic the Gathering back in the 90s with weird cards like this, you had you had a booster pack and a starter deck. That's all you could buy. And when I got back into Magic the Gathering in the last few years, my mind was blown about how many different kinds of decks there were. And I was a little bit overwhelmed. And so the one thing that I do like, let me clear some of this stuff out of the way here, is that essentially, and again, this could be part of the cost, they're trying to balance gameplay with collectability. They've essentially taken all three of these boxes and combined them into one pack. And so everybody who's played Magic the Gathering knows the draft boosters are the cheapest, the set boosters are a little bit more expensive because you get a little bit better cards, and these things are insanely expensive. I mean, absolutely mind-blowing. Now, I know in the recent sets they've combined these two to make play boosters, so I think they just have this and this now, and that these have gone away. But it was a little bit overwhelming, the different kinds of packs you could buy, and I didn't like it. And so I thought, I want to play, but I want good cards too. Which one of these boxes do I buy? And you end up buying all of them, and then you file for bankruptcy. So that's one thing I do like, even though they are expensive. Again, you look at this, it's, man, $6.25 for a pack if you buy the big booster box. And again, I will mention, this is the only way to get the box toppers. So if you're going to back in the first 48 hours and you want to get those double box toppers, you have to buy the full booster box. It does not come in the mini booster box. So $6.25 a pack, hey, that beats spending whatever the heck these things are going for now, $20, $30 a pack. I mean, it's just crazy expensive for these. And then if you just want to play, you have all these different options, and it's kind of overwhelming. With these, you get one pack or a starter deck. And if you want to play, you buy a starter deck. If you want to collect, you buy some booster packs. The 9-card thing is a little bit troublesome because every other card game I think has 12 or more. So 9 cards is, well, I guess there's 10 if you count this one, but it's not always something you can play. So there's 10. But it just seems a little lean on the cards in the packs. But I like this. I like how they've just taken all this and just put it into one pack. I think that's just awesome. But I will say as well, there's another thing I worry about along with the cost is when you look at the pledge amounts for this. Now, you might want to sit down if you haven't seen this already. But the pledge amounts are pretty mind-blowing. Okay, you can see here $55 to $8,250. Now, $55 will get you 2 starter decks, and I think they're $30 a piece, so that saves you a couple dollars there. $95 will get you 2 starter decks and a mini booster box. Again, you're not going to get the box topper in this, you're just going to get 6 boosters and 2 starter decks. This level on, you're going to get the box toppers as well as some play mats that you can use. $195, 2 starter decks, 1 booster box, 1 playmat. $485, 3 starter decks. There's 6 available, I think, so you just pick which ones you want. 3 starter decks, 3 booster boxes, 2 playmats. $485. Whew! So you got three starter decks, so 3 people can play, and you got 3 booster boxes. You got a lot of cards to pull, but 2 playmats. $965, which is all 6 starter decks, 6 booster boxes, 3 playmats. $43.50 is going to get you double the starter deck, so all 6 times 2, 30 booster boxes, 4 playmats. $82.50 is the top tier, which is 18 starter decks, which is going to be 3 of each, 60 booster boxes, 5 playmats. Now, the thing I'm confused about here, and maybe my math's not right or I'm just not very smart, with this tier, they say you save like over $4,000. And I'm like, okay, the starter decks are $30 a piece. That's $540. The booster boxes are $150 a piece. That's $9,000. The player mats are $35 a piece. That's $175. You add those up, you get $97.15, which is not a savings of $4,000. I don't know how they're getting that math. Maybe there's something included in this that I'm missing, but I went through it a couple of times, and that's all there is. So maybe somebody help me understand how we're saving $4,000 by buying this tier. I don't know. So those are your options if you want to back this. And again, you have to get this tier or higher with the full booster box if you want to get those double box toppers. I think you have 24 hours left to do that. Man, that's a lot of money. And so for these here, just 1 booster box, $150 for 24 packs. That's really expensive for people to get into this hobby if the game ends up taking off. And that's one thing I really wonder about is how's that going to go? Is the game going to take off? Are people going to do the $8,000 tier and it's just going to kind of fizzle out because people aren't going to be able to afford it? Or they're not going to find the game as fun as other games. But I am really happy to see a big competitor for Magic the Gathering. I'm really excited to see that because I feel like it's kind of dominated the market. That and Pokemon, and there's a couple others, but I don't think they're quite as popular as those two. But I really hope the game is successful. I really hope it is. And I really hope people latch onto it and it becomes an alternative for other card games. I also hope there's a way they can figure out how to maybe bump the cost down a little bit because I don't know. I feel like the average person would maybe get a couple starter decks or something, and that's it, just because those booster boxes are just so expensive. But again, I think that's where the collectability comes in because one thing they mention is if you're not a collector, you can take these high-value collector cards, you can trade them for commons, uncommons, and rares that will make your deck still pretty good. Oh, and one thing I did forget to mention is that another way to make a deck is a point value. They're going to have a database with the point value for all the cards, and so almost kind of like Warhammer. Like I'm going to have a 500 point deck. Here we go, and you got to have 500 or below. So you can't take that super ultimate card and put it in your deck because the point value is too high. So that's a way to kind of even things up a little bit for match play. They did say they're going to come out with some rules later for I think like draft play and arena play, a couple of other options if you're into those other kind of play styles. But I am really excited for this game. I really hope it does well. The price point is a little bit controversial, but it seems like the collectability is going to be insane with this, the way they're not going to reprint any cards and the myriad of ways for you to get a serialized card or a foil card or the box topper card or the one-of-one card. I mean, there's so many ways you can get cards to collect for this game. It does look pretty exciting. We're going to play through a couple games and see how it goes, and maybe we'll make another video and talk about what our experience was. But until then, remember, guys, if you think something good about somebody else, make sure you let them know, especially a family member, someone you really care about, a good friend. Let them know the good thought you had, because everybody loves that. It's so easy to criticize people and tell them the things that bug you. But for some reason, and I don't know why it is, we feel uncomfortable complimenting people. We feel uncomfortable telling someone something good that we like about them. So if you think something, just don't keep it in your head. Let it out and be a hero. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.